Major index.
In a world full of noise and uncertainty, IG is the investment platform that backs you. Forget the dubious tips from that guy down the pub. Get real-time insights, analysis and tools. No more fat cat brokers clawing your gains. Pay zero commission on your investments. Switch to a platform trusted by investors for over 50 years. IG. Trade, invest, progress.
Hey, morning everyone. Good. Welcome to the show. Actually, I'm saying good because I'm trying to make myself feel a bit better about coming back after a weekend of watching headlines. Chris here has been watching Bloomberg till the very wee hours of last night.
You know it's a crisis when you start watching financial TV compulsively.
Really. And flicking
Something
the
I haven't
headlines.
since, I don't know, COVID probably, maybe Ukraine, maybe that was the last time. Oh, maybe no. Truth be told, it'll be last year with tariffs. That would be
April.
Yeah. So not that long in one sense, but yes, that's when it really starts to get into crisis territory.
Yeah. You know that it is near crisis territory when you start putting on the radio as well, whilst you are doing other things in the house. Let's have a look at this full screen I've made for you just to catch everyone up in case you weren't listening to headlines like Chris and myself. So we've got obviously oil spiking and it has eased off, but then coming back up again. Of course, we are into the second week now of this conflict and disruptions at the Strait of Hormuz, triggering a severe global energy supply shock there. We've got concerns about stagflation and still seeing risk off across all assets.
Very much so. And you had the Nikkei down at 51,270 or so overnight. That, of course, has come off the lows. But there's, so if you were all the way down here, that was, okay, we were trading at about 60,000 on the Nikkei on the 25th of Feb. So you have seen 8,000 to 9,000 points wiped off this index. What's the interesting for, if you look at the S&P, is that we aren't even at the November lows. So I think the curious thing about last week was how slow the reaction was, actually. Everyone talked about the closure of Hormuz being the big thing for markets over the last, well, 10 decades, whatever it is. And yet suddenly you did have crude at triple digits overnight. And you see all WTI is back below 100 on this news about coordinated release of stockpiles in the G7. But that will take time. It's not that much. It's 400 million barrels, I think, is the estimate of the total. But you can't release it all at once for various reasons. And if you've got the closure of the Strait every single day, I forget how many million barrels go through those every day, but it's more than that. So it's at the moment a drop in the ocean, really, but it has at least taken the edge off that surge in oil prices.
Looking at volatility index there, we are above that 24 figure. It's 26 right now. So just bear that in mind as well. But I agree with Chris. I mean, last week I expected the impact to be much greater, especially if you look at this just for some sort of context. Taking a look at the weekly chart here, we may have seen a spike, but it's still, if you compare it to the April tariff tantrum, we're not anywhere near the levels. I think we hit 37 at one point.
Yeah, so we're not there yet at all. So, but by comparison, so this is markets, equity markets still appear to be assuming that there will be a rapid resolution. We can use the dreaded TACO phrase at this point, that a few days of oil prices in triple digits, the poll numbers start to come through, then they find some off-ramp to this, is the assumption. But that's one scenario, and in which case you expect oil prices would, I imagine, come down from the highest levels quite quickly, and then, but it would take longer for them to go back towards $70 a barrel. That will take longer to unwind, but that's your kind of optimistic scenario. What if that doesn't happen? Then they do brazen this out, then you see oil prices remaining elevated, and you would probably see equities continue to be hit hard.
Speaking of equities, FTSE 100 down 1.3% there. DAX is down more than 2%. Let's have a look at the individual
No prizes for guessing who's at the top this morning, not to spoil the surprise, but there you are. Shell and BP.
On the winners list. And also, I had a chat, Chris, at the weekend with Shell and BP mates there. They, without saying much, it is a quiet watching of the share price there. BP, of course, you've heard me say many times, loads of people at BP have been watching this closely, because if you're near retirement or about to head off into the sunset, there's this mantra that sell before 5, and we are past that 5 level now. So there will be quite a lot of action, shall we say, on the BP side, if you know a lot of people internally. Shell as well, take a look at that chart there, moving on to the daily for you so you can see that move there. Also similar, and some of the other few winners there, Anglo-American, and also we've got Ashtead eking out a bit of a gain there, but not by much. No. Let's take a look at the losers.
Rolls-Royce, Standard Life, I wouldn't say there's a theme to this. It's simply the fact that you just have a de-risking across markets. Miners feature heavily, but then they would do You had a number of miners downgraded this morning by...
Oh, tell me which ones.
I can tell you, give me...
Because we have Fresnillo down, we've got Endeavour Mining down 2.7.
JP Morgan downgraded Anglo American, Antofagasta and Rio Tinto this morning. So that is just sort of pouring fuel on the fire. But it is just a de-risking across the board here in stocks. You had very heavy losses for Japan. Understandably, I think you can look at a map to understand why Japan would suffer from rising oil prices because they don't have much of it themselves. FTSE 100 limited impact, relatively 1.6%. So the losses are accelerating to an extent. I think this is the thing for equity markets. European markets, France and Germany taking it particularly hard. And in the US, small caps down 2.6%, taking it on the chin compared to the S&P, which is only down 1.4%. So still relatively contained for now. But it's as the initial shock wears off, I still think that you'll still see stock weaker because they will be pricing in what this does to the economy, what oil at these levels, even at $80 a barrel, what that does to inflation in the US, what that does for pricing in Fed rate cuts. Markets now pricing in 2 ECB rate hikes this year. So the expectations of cuts have been pushed back dramatically, and indeed everyone's probably on pause now for the time being.
It's the wait and see period, if you like. Speaking of which, we do have a number of things that we are waiting on, even though a lot of the attention is, of course, on the Middle East, but we also have US New York Fed inflation expectations.
Yes, so that's worth watching. It's CPI tomorrow or Wednesday in the US, but of course that's February, so it won't really take into effect.
This into
they
account.
get another month or so of respite before that really starts to watch for that.
So taking a look across to also Germany, and here is, I'm just going to shake that out for you. This is the losers list there. Siemens Energy is the top loser there. We've got Heidelberg Materials as well, down more than 4%. Now, remember, a lot of these materials and metals and mining companies, of course, they are being hit, but the fundamentals still remain the same there. It, of course, will factor in, rising costs, and also just keep an eye on the input costs when they start reporting. Also, MTU and Vonovia also on the losers list. We've got Bayer as well, and Commerzbank. Changing over to see whether we've got any winners there. I don't think there'll be many, but Total, surprise, surprise, Total Energy is there. And just a quick look to France. Here we are.
Just, well, is the entire index in the red? I can well believe that. Teleport Airbus down. Airlines will be taking this on the chin particularly. Although you had, speaking of upgrades and downgrades, you had upgrades to the airlines from Barclays this morning. Lufthansa, IAG, Air France all upgraded this morning, which I thought was an interesting move from them, certainly.
Timing, interesting.
Yeah, Hermes also upgraded HSBC. Buy luxury as a safe haven, one assumes, is the kind of move there.
The other interesting thing too is that we are seeing some of the gains being given back across the defence space. You've got Rheinmetall down 1.4%, BAE Systems also down 1.3%. Of course, these marched higher. I think
they did well last week, I think, but then because the market is still in general de-risking mode, and as we were saying at the beginning, it's still a relatively ordered move. This isn't free fall yet. This isn't an ugly rout. This is not yet what we saw in April of last year around tariffs. At the moment, it's still a relatively, despite everything, and then maybe the Nikkei excluded, it's still relatively gentle. It was starting to look particularly ugly. And of course, we had payrolls on Friday. Normally, they would be the talk of the town, but it's been superseded, obviously, by the developments over the weekend. But you had, obviously, a negative print in payrolls, not also a negative print, but also a rise in unemployment and wages going up, which is kind of, I don't know what the opposite of Goldilocks is.
Oh,
There isn't
no, there is one.
But whatever the opposite of Goldilocks is, that was it in payrolls, particularly at this moment. So the bad news is piling in for the US economy.
There is an opposite, but I can't say this on air at 8:10 in the morning. Speaking of which, we got just a roundup for those of you just dialing in. Good morning, good morning, good morning to all of you, especially those of you that I met at the event last week at the Female Investment event or the Thai Embassy event as well. It was so good to see you. If you're just joining, just a roundup, basic resources, construction, tech, real estate, all leading the fallers across Europe. And we, of course, surprise, surprise, no surprise, rather. Oil and gas are up slightly. Travel and leisure down around 2.7%. And we also have some upgrades and downgrades, which we had Chris take us through earlier. Let me just have a look at the list there, because it was quite interesting. We did have some upgrades in the airlines, did you say, Chris?
Yes, JP Morgan.
But we also have...
No, Barclays, I apologise, Barclays. JP Morgan downgraded the miners, sorry.
So we also have some news from the small cap space. We have, for example, I know some of you are in Alien Metals, JV partner. Green Tech have completed drilling at the Muni site. Do you know what Alien Metals ticker is? It's like fast becoming my second favorite ticker.
You told me, but I've forgotten.
So my first favorite ticker is mRNA. Alien Metals is UFO.
There we go. That's very good. You need to have a sense of humour for these kind of things, really.
And Beowulf Mining as well, notice of conversion of 50,000 loan notes. And it's pretty quiet. I mean, all the focus is, of course, on what is happening in the Middle East, and we're seeing it play out here. Let's just have a quick look at one that you've been talking a lot about, Chris, natural gas.
Yes, European natural gas was the big surge last week and up again this morning. So you can see it. Then oil prices back above $100 a barrel. So you can expect us to be playing this game all day, up, down, above, below $100 a barrel. But yes, natural gas, particularly the UK one, just one down from the one you're on, Angeline, was the huge mover last week. You can see that there. Which spells trouble for consumers in the UK. Markets now pricing in hikes from the ECB and now from the Bank of England as well. And there's talk of some kind of energy assistance program for the government. So that fiscal headroom they thought they had has now just been obliterated in the space of about a week.
Do we have a time for the G7 meeting today? I've been trying to find a time, but I haven't
seen it.
Any of you found a time? Please let us know. Put it below or send us an email on us@ig.com. But we have been trying to find a time for that. Last week was also interesting because we saw the first drone ETF launched by Han ETF, and we also saw, I think it's either early this week, I was watching it with great interest. I think it is today, actually. The UK Debt Management Office has announced a new green gilt.
Oh, good.
Which will, amid all of this.
Nothing else going on.
Timing is, yes, timing is everything. And this is rather an odd timing for this, but still. What is the rest of your day looking like, Chris?
Just going to spend the day watching moves in markets and see. Obviously, don't forget, the US clocks changed at the weekend. So the US, it doesn't open an hour earlier, but the timing means that it starts an hour earlier for us than normal. So just be aware of that. It slightly caught me out last night because obviously everything opened really at 10 o'clock rather than 11 o'clock on indices and commodities. So do watch that. US futures, of course, deep in the red so far this morning. We'll see whether they can try and make some sort of recovery in early trading. So that's the first thing. There's nothing else really on the agenda in terms of actual events. Everything else this week has been pushed to the back to see how the US reacts to these oil prices. And
just looking across the board.
Oh, and I've got a webinar tonight at 7. The details are on the website if you want to sign up. So you may have received an email about it over the weekend as well. But yes, we do have a webinar at 7 p.m, half an hour. We'll try and cover some of the latest developments. We did one last week. We're going to do one this evening. And if you can't attend it, you can at least sign up and you'll get the recording anyway.
We'll also put the link at the bottom of the show. Waving to those waving to us, Chris, on the chat. Let's have a look at, we'll look at gold in a moment, but let's have a look at some of the movers. Norwegian Air is down 3.7% there, as is probably the other airlines as well. Let's have a look at IAG. I know quite a few of you have a position in that. Andrew McKelvey, still a loyal investor in IAG, and he is holding on. I did check with him. I did make contact. He is recovering nicely there. American Airlines and Southwest also have been bashed recently, along with United as well. Hey, Tim. Also, taking a look at Roche, that's down 7.5% there. ExxonMobil and Chevron and ConocoPhillips will be the one that I'll be watching out for when the US starts getting underway. Out of curiosity, did you see the articles floating around the UK at the weekend about certain fatalities linked to the investigating fatalities linked to those skinny pens here?
No.
Have you heard of the Monjaro freeze?
Of course, yeah. The what? Monjaro freeze?
Monjaro freeze.
No.
So, because these skinny pens and the medication are relatively new, they're still finding out more and more about, the GLP-1 effects. And one of them, Monjaro freeze, apparently is a thing, and you can Google it. Those that have used Monjaro find that they can't warm up. Even when they've whacked up the heating,
Right.
their body temperature, they can't regulate it. And so they're wearing multiple layers of clothing, even when they've got heating up to like 27 Celsius in the house.
Well, I think there was always the expectation that you can't just do one drug and then it gives you weight loss, but doesn't have any other issues to go with it. The body doesn't work like that. Even I, as a non-medical person, can understand that. So the consequences of some kind were probably inevitable. So that's interesting.
Yeah. So one to watch linked to this is Hims and Hers health shares. If you are in a position on this, or you are looking to take a position, pre-market just crossed my eye as I was on my way in, up some 37%. 37% indicated higher.
Today?
After a report that Novo is set to sell
44% now.
Woof! Set to sell its weight loss drugs on the company's platform. Now, if this happens, it would be a huge caving in on Novo's front, because Novo's always said, we're not going to pair up with anyone else. We just sell our drugs on our platforms, and through the medical industry. But if Novo does actually sell its drugs on Hims and Hers platforms, which of course sells everything from healthcare to telehealth, this would be.
Right. I keep seeing the name. I keep seeing the name, and then I sort of know what they do, and then because it connects to the weight loss drug stuff. But it's a very popular stock on the platform.
And it's also very popular in the US. They're a big USP, and they've advertised on the Super Bowl as well, is that it's these drugs not just for the super wealthy or those who can afford it. It should be for everyone, which I thought was quite clever as well.
Everyone gets to be thin and cold. Is that the idea?
Right, we have a poll. Speaking of heating and cold, what happens to oil this week? Do you think it is going to continue to rise? Is it going to pull back? Or, oh God, Phil, only time will tell. Or consolidates? I think it's going to continue to rise. Something then happens on the Trump front, sort of like rainy Thursday, late Thursday evening, and then we see a change of character. That is not based on science. That's my gut feel.
It's the basic expectation, but of course, if they don't, a question of how long we think oil prices will affect stocks. They already are, I think, really, but this is probably the week the market wakes up, really, at this point. So we are still futures heavily red, FTSE 100 roughly 10,100. So we were talking about 11,000 about 2 weeks ago on the FTSE 100, and of course it was likely until it wasn't really. But you can see the reaction they are playing catch up, I think, at this point. But you can expect that to continue. I still think the damage has been limited in equity markets, and in US equity markets particularly.
Yes, I would have expected to see it worse than it is, but it
Whether
seems...
we're waiting for another shoe to drop here.
No one knows, including the people that are in the hallways of power as you saw the Baroness Neville Jones last week saying that even they are perplexed. They don't seem to understand whether there is an end game or this is what is the new way of warfare, which is what we're hearing from the US administration, all about flexibility. Anyone watched Three Body Problem? Have you watched Three Body Problem?
No.
I'm asking the man that's not watched The Matrix. And it is true.
Last night I actually watched live TV. It was Bloomberg, but it was live TV.
Last night? Was that last night?
Almost never happens.
I don't think you should do that. As an ex-Bloomberger, I can say that. It will stress you. You lose hair.
Yeah.
So if you are curious about what I mean, you can also search up warfare, flexibility, and Russia, because this is apparently something that Russia has been using as well. Flexibility. Let's take a look at gold, because we have someone asking whether gold is forming a bear flag there. What do you think?
I don't do formations. It's always...
Unless you're flying in an F-35.
But the trend is still there. Of course, holding above the 50-day moving average.
Let's get Chris's chart up.
Kind of the way I'd look at it, really. I tend to invest too much in these formations. But it's come off. This is going to be safe haven buying of the dollar, pushing it up for the time being. Pushing it down over the past week. We'll see whether it can stabilise. But you do get the sense that the rush to the dollar safe haven has begun. Bitcoin amazingly has recovered this morning, trying to move higher. So watch that one as well.
Taking a look at gold there, if it does break that level that you see my perforated line there, that area of interest around 4,600, pretty much down to 4,000.
See that chart, Angeline?
400. Can you see my chart?
Not yet.
Okay. Right, so I'm going to draw a rectangular thing because we don't talk about lines when we talk about areas of interest because it's never a hard line there, but I'm going to draw it out for you. So there we are. So if we breach that, then perhaps we could then start revisiting that February low where you can see my cursor there. But if it starts poking its nose above the 20 EMA, then perhaps we could see it bounce back up. So that's what I'm looking at for those of you watching gold. Right, we are going to love you and leave you, but we still will be online as well, and Chris will be here to take questions and also any questions you might have at all about how to position in these sort of times, also how we can risk manage whether in or out. Please ask them because it would be great to have your questions. I had to answer many of these questions at the Female Invest event last week. Thank you for those of you that came. It was lovely meeting you. I was a bit taken aback by the 1,000 number of people there, but also we had plenty of the team there to support too. So it was good to see all of you. Right, thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you.
Yes, and we shall see you on the trading floor.